people follow people. So the more that you learn how to share your story in order to connect and inspire your team, it's going to be really pivotal to your.
Please welcome to the stage, or back to the stage, Sam Cawthorn.
Thank you. Thank you. I remember this time when I actually had two arms. It was down there in Tasmania. Now, I had the great job. I was working for the Australian federal government as a youth futurist. I was married for about 4 or 5 years. On top of that, we had two beautiful girls. Had Amelia and also Ebony. Amelia was just about to turn 4 years old. And I was driving in my big company car on this particular day, October the 3rd, 2006. I fell asleep behind the wheel. I veered over the other side of the road and the police said it was a 206-kilometre head-on collision with a semi-trailer truck. I was pronounced dead at the accident. My heart stopped for about a bit over 3 minutes, obviously resuscitated. Then I was put on life support for an entire week, in hospital for 5 months, and then in a wheelchair for an entire year. The doctor said I will never be able to walk ever again. Isn't it a good feeling when you prove the doctor's wrong? Yeah. And it was really interesting, that whole rehabilitation journey for me, but I then realised that yes, and I love what Nick was just sharing earlier on, we as human beings, we're hardwired through story, through narrative. And so there was a local youth group asked me to share my story, and then I went and shared my story at this youth group, then another school, and then before you know it, I was sharing my story in over 10 schools every single week. It was awesome. And then obviously I got a little bit of coaching and I became an international professional speaker, which was awesome. And then around 11 years ago, people then asked me, hey Sam, how did you do it? Can you please help me to speak on stage and share my story? And so thus Speakers Institute was born. And so today I'm actually going to share with you a little bit more about what I learned in that journey, but also how we here at Speakers Institute and also Speakers Institute Corporate, how we've inspired loyalty. And not only that, to build a phenomenal international culture. We actually have speakers and facilitators and volunteers all around the world. And we're doing in excess of 50, 60 events every single month. So I'm going to share with you a few little insights in and around what we actually learned. But I just want to share with you one more story because I really like this story. So I've got a different type of prosthetic arms, right? So I've got this one prosthetic arm for playing golf. I've also got another arm, for playing 8-ball. I've even got a swimming arm, so it's like a little flipper. Fits on the end of my stump. I've even got a bionic arm. It's the most advanced bionic arm in the world. I even program it with my iPhone 14. Seriously, I've got an app for my arm. Actually, if you downloaded the app, you could control my hand, yeah? I've got 8 arms all up, actually. How many arms do you have? So anyway, I won this award a few years ago, Young Australian of the Year. And at the time, Kevin Rudd was actually the Prime Minister of Australia. And so I'm about to meet the Prime Minister of Australia in the lodge on Australia Day, but I'm thinking to myself, what can I do in order for the Australian Prime Minister to remember me? So I had one of my prosthetic arms on, I had my cosmetic arm. So my hand, get this ready, my hand looks exactly the same as my normal hand. So if I wore a long sleeve jacket on, you can't notice at all that I had a prosthetic arm. So I'm walking up the Australian Prime Minister and I went to say hello and also to shake my hand. And again, I sort of wanted to make sure I made a great first impression with the Prime Minister of Australia. And so as he went to shake my hand, I detached my hand and it came off into his hand. So, Glenn McGrath, Adam Gilchrist, a few other celebrities that were there, they saw what was happening. They just started cracking up, laughing. Media came in, taking photos, and Prime Minister Kevin Rudd, he's standing there holding my hand. And in his Australia Day speech, the Prime Minister of Australia, he said, look, today We're surrounded by very significant Australians. We have Aboriginal elders. We have community leaders. We have sports heroes. But nothing can ever beat the intro I had to Sam this morning, because when you meet Sam, it's an extraordinary experience. Because when you shake his hand, he'll leave his hand in your hand. And the Australian Prime Minister in his Australia Day speech then looked over to me and he goes, "And thanks, Sam, I'm still recovering from therapy today." I've even got a bit of proof here that this actually did happen. There's Adam Gilchrist there in the background. There's the PM's wife, Therese. She's just lost it, right? And literally the Prime Minister of Australia is just handing me back my hand. It was certainly a very, very funny moment, that's for sure. But it's exactly what Craig was saying earlier on. We've all got stories. We've all got journeys that we've been on. And so the journey then that I then went on from that moment was literally then teaching other people how to share their journey and how to share their story. And one thing that we've seen, particularly over the last 5 to 7 years, is a real shift between us no longer trusting brands, companies, logos, organisations, governments, media. We no longer trust it anymore. And the latest data now shows us that we are now following more human beings rather than brands, governments, logos, media, etc. And so what we now know is that we now live in what we like to call the profile economy, where people follow people. What we know is that your face is now your number one visual brand within your workplace, within your marketplace. It's no longer a logo or an icon or the like, it's actually your face. And the people now that are building faces rather than a logo for organisations are the people that are actually boosting their organisations significantly more. Even if you look at someone like Elon Musk, you know, he has close to 400 times more followers than Tesla and SpaceX combined. And so one thing I found when it does come to us boosting our own profile in this profile economy as people follow people are characteristics. So I even wrote a book about this. It's called The 12 Characteristics of an Influential Leader. I'm going to share with you 3 of them today that I've found. The very first one is this: character before charisma. Character before charisma. You know, sometimes charisma can be really attractive in people. You know, you see them dress nice. You see them with that great suave. They're attractive to people. People are drawn to them. They've got the gift of the gab and the like. But it's one thing having charisma, but if you don't have character behind that charisma, that very, very soon you'll be seen as a fraud. And so one thing I found is as we're building a global organisation and we're seeing more and more people, just be in the proximity now for many years. Even our previous speaker, Nick Harding, he has actually been speaking for us now on stage for close to 10 years. And again, all around the world as well. So one thing we've found again is what do we mean by character? It's truth. It's integrity. It's values. Is what you say is what you're going to follow through with as well. So that's the first one, character before charisma. The second one is this: trust before influence. You cannot influence anyone. And how I see the word influence is actually communicating to someone so they actually take action on what they've just heard you say. Yeah, so sometimes, you know, we even look at these influencers online and the like, but I believe we all have the capacity to influence not only ourselves, our family, our community, but also our workplace and the culture as well. But ultimately, you know, it's one thing trying to persuade and the like and getting them to do things for you, but it's a whole other thing actually influencing them so they want to do it. And how do we do that? We do that through trust. Trust isn't just an overnight thing, it's a consistency. And I would regularly talk about the 3 L's. You build loyalty, and then through that loyalty, then you look at longevity. And then as you're going through this long term of loyalty and longevity, then together we can create legacy. That for me is really the heartbeat of trust. And then the third element here is loyalty before opportunity. You know, the world at the moment, I think, is full of opportunities. There's more opportunities even today than what I've seen in being in business now for close to 20 years. And so, yes, it's so easy for us to say yes to another beautiful opportunity and the like. But at the same time, I do believe that if we can show loyalty to our teams, to the people that we work with every single day, if we give them our time, our ear, and we truly actively listen to them, we can then start building trust and loyalty with them. Then together, we can then see those opportunities then go through. And one thing I've also found as well, don't leave anyone behind. That really is a big part of culture moving forward as well. So I mentioned that, Craig mentioned that I was born and raised down there in Tasmania. And my parents, Indian mum, Scottish father. I'm one of 11, seriously, 7 boys and 4 girls. I'm number 9 in the order. Actually, I'm an uncle 39 times. I got 39 nephews, and that's what happens down there in Tasmania, yeah? And I love my mum and dad to bits, but yeah, have you always found that, you know, things don't always go according to plan? And this here is my parents. Annie and Peter. Actually, do me a favour, just say hi, Mum and Dad for me. Come on, say hi, Mum and Dad. Yeah, hi, Mum and Dad. Very, very proud of them. They really did instill this character and this loyalty within me. And I respect them, and they've always been my mentors and my coaches. During COVID, they actually passed away. They actually died. And sometimes things in our life, they don't always go according to plan. And we can plan to this is exactly where we need to head with our team, with ourselves, personally, professionally. But sometimes we do hit significant roadblocks that we just simply don't see. But there are also important moments where we need to pick ourselves up, dust ourselves off, and continue to just move forward no matter what. I do believe that our greatest days are ahead of us. Why? Because the best is yet to come. Thank you very much.